I can't. I want to look at Tennessee
Yeah.
just because of the quarterback, but again, that's an unknown. Um, I actually do like Kansas State, and obviously Oklahoma, Texas are gone now.
Mhm.
You bring in Utah, and that's going to be your biggest competition. They're the highest ranked team on this list, and from the
And
Big
they don't
12.
play them.
They don't play them in the regular season.
No, they have UT. Here's their schedule: UT Martin at Tulane. Tulane's getting some pretty marquee home games the past couple of years. Arizona at home, at BYU on a Saturday. They play Arizona on a Friday. Oklahoma State at home, a week off before at Colorado, at West Virginia, Kansas at home, week off, and then at Houston, Arizona State at home, Cincy at home, and at Iowa State.
And everything's gonna be about their quarterback, Avery Johnson, who came in last year. He's got wheels.
Right.
And then they got Dylan Edwards, who was like one of the 4 good players on Colorado. He's a true freshman last year that just went off in those first few games. Yep. It says in the article that they have to replace 3 offensive linemen, but I just think with their schedule mixed with I love Kleiman as a coach, I can see them jumping over to the top 10. What about you?
So, real quick with Kansas State, I was going to say they do seem like they always play a good brand of football. Like it's like a tough brand of football. So I can see that, and then not playing Utah, I think is a gift, right? And Utah's schedule is not super easy. That one seems like it probably is. For
what about what your team most likely to rise?
So I have 3 that jump out to me, and it would be USC, it would be Miami, and then what was the other one? I would probably make a case for Tennessee. I am high on Tennessee, so maybe something like that. But this is for the end of the season. I would probably stick with one of those 2 teams. I think that one of those 2 teams is. I think Miami is just they've done what we've talked about for weeks now, which is like they are all in on this year, and they have put out a ton of money on this year, and the people they brought in are quality players. And I think it'll be interesting to see how they mesh. Like we saw Cam Moore be a stud, especially in the first half of last year at Washington State. Now he's your go-to guy, and he got there early too. Remember that? Like he got there early and has been like putting in work with like all those guys, and they've kind of built a lot around him. Damian Martinez is one of the more underrated running backs in the country for Oregon State. Now he's going to get to go behind what you'd assume would be a good offensive line, right?
Yeah.
Like with Mario Cristobal being the head coach. And then just everything they have on defense too is like they have gotten, it seems like, kind of a who's who, especially in the second portal of some defensive guys. So I think Miami has a chance to do it. And then the other one, man, I'm going to regret this possibly later, but I'm going to buy stock on USC. And maybe that's stupid because the schedule's not easy. You have LSU, which is going to be most likely a loss. Utah State, then you get a week off before you're at Michigan. I think that they go to Michigan and like prove a point in that game. Wisconsin at home, at Minnesota, Penn State at home, at Maryland, versus Rutgers, at Washington, versus Nebraska, at UCLA, and then Notre Dame. I think they win 10 games. I think that they like this could be a team too that like by the end of November, we're talking about a potential top 5 lock, like in like a showdown with Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, possibly because they don't have Oregon on that schedule, right? And I know Penn State, like that's a tough one, but you get them at home. Some of these road games, like at Minnesota, at Maryland, like Washington's going to be a shell of themselves from what they were a year ago.
Yeah, you get Rutgers. I mean, I could see it. The defense obviously is going to have to improve a ton. They finally got rid of, what's his name? Guy that was like the darling DC forever. And now nobody wants him. They bring in UCLA's D coordinator, DeAnton Lynn. They just have so many strides to take. You lose the number 1 player in the draft. I don't know if I can get on that. Miami, I could see for sure because Cam Ward is the ultimate X factor. I think if he's really good, so will be Miami. But we'll see. I can't buy on USC though.
Okay, so hear me out here though. like Wisconsin could be decent. You get Wisconsin the week after they play. That's an interesting game because you are at Michigan, which I think they'll, like I said, I think they win. And Wisconsin's coming off the Bama game. So two pretty big games back to back for both those teams. I just don't think Minnesota is going to be great. And then like you get, like again, you get Penn. All your toughest games besides LSU are at home, and like Michigan's on the road, like I said, but like Penn State at home, Nebraska, which could be a sneaky game, that's at home, and then Notre Dame to close the season, that's at home. And it's not like Coliseum has like a tremendous home field advantage. I'm just saying you're not. This is the difference between even going to Pac-12 stadiums because like you're not going to like Outson right now this year. You're not going to like rainy Corvallis. You're not going up to Washington to play like in a pretty tough environment there. You're going to Minnesota and Maryland and these half full stadiums where the biggest thing you're going to have to fight probably in that game is the temperature.
Yeah, I mean, jet lag.
Yeah, probably that too.